Norway, a land of rolling fjords and breathtaking landscapes, built on principles of democracy and equality. Positioned in the heart of Scandinavia, Norway is a beacon of prosperity and technological advancement globally. Now, even though it's a haven of IT, engineering, and law jobs, teaching sits amongst the most in demand jobs in Norway because most Norwegians speak English fluently. English is one of the subjects that they teach at school. So there's always a demand for teachers who have been trained in English or teachers from English speaking countries. And because of the proliferation of English speaking international schools, Norway welcomes teachers all the time. In Norway, teachers generally earn between 505,000 Norwegian kroners to 597,000 Norwegian kroners. As a lecturer, you would even earn more because lecturers earn a staggering 897,000 kroners. Amazing. I knew I had to go to Norway. I had to go there to experience the education that's usually touted as the best in the world. I wanted to go there to experience what the teacher workday is like in Norway. I wanted to go there to see what everything about the Norwegian educational system was. So how then did I get a job in Norway and lose it? Today I'm going to be telling you all the things I did which got me to that point in my career where I got a job in Norway and lost it so that you don't have to make the mistake. So stick around with me. If this is your first time on my channel, hi. If you've been here before, hi and welcome back. You see, Norway is a welfare country where people pay 36% income tax, and all of that money is plowed back into the system so that they're able to afford a lot of things. One of the things that Norway can afford is 100% of their children go to kindergarten. And parents usually pay just a tiny amount of money, right? Really, really small amount of money, whereas the government pays the rest of it from the taxes. So a good way for you to save taxes are a good thing. Now, because of the fact that many children now go to kindergarten, which is different from the 1940s where only 1 or 2% of children went to kindergarten in Norway. The Norwegian government decided to step in and sort of regulate kindergartens in Norway. So when kindergartens first started in Norway, it was more about somewhere to just put the children so parents could go to work. But as more and more children started registering at kindergartens, the government had to then make sure that the children who go to this kindergarten are well taken care of and there's a sort of play-based curriculum for them to follow. So even though they were playing at first, it became a sort of, okay, are they playing constructively? Are they playing in a way that will benefit the country in the long run? Because remember, the children are the future of the country. So because there was a huge emphasis on play at the beginning, anyway, the way the Norwegian system is that when children enter this kindergarten at 10 months, and they usually stay in kindergartens until they're about 6 or the year they turn 7. So many children come into grade 1, what we would call in the UK primary 1, they will come into grade 1 fully developed. You're not struggling with the children. You're not trying to teach them how to articulate their needs because they've learned that. And remember, there's a ratio in Norway that says that it's 3 children under the age of 6 to 1 adult. So in a class of 12 children, you would find 4 adults. Yeah, I'm sure you want to start packing your bags and moving to Norway now. And do you know what? You can, because even though there's a requirement in Norway that teachers have to speak the Norwegian language, there's also an emphasis on children picking up skills of communicating, which means that the children would speak fluently. So if you're from an English speaking country, I will be leaving links down below in this video today where you can jump on and go to Norway. Remember, teachers are needed in Norway. if you come from an English speaking country, there are lots of schools that will take you in. You might need to learn the language, or you go to international kindergartens. Remember, all the children in Norway, 100% of the children in Norway go to kindergarten. So what are you waiting for? Get there. They need teachers in Norway. You're from an English speaking country, and there are lots of children for you to take care of there. So pack your bags and go to Norway. But listen to what I did that made me lose my job, so that you don't have to do the same. Now, I got my job from the test, the Times Educational Supplement. I was not used to the Norwegian system yet. I didn't know much about Norway apart from the basic research that I had done online. So when I got my job in Norway around April, now normally I would have started applying from October, but that particular year, I think I went home for Christmas, and then when I got back, a lot of things happened at school, and I decided that it was time for us to move, for my family and I to move, and we wanted to move back to Europe. So I chose Norway, and I applied. I applied to a lot of schools, and Norway, the school in Norway, just sent me back the letter saying, oh, they love my CV, they love the fact that I'm well traveled, they've got a lot of international children at the school. Mind you, I applied at an international school. So asked me to interview. I interviewed. It was a brilliant interview. I enjoyed it. It was one of the times when it was not just about what I knew. It was more about my experience with children and knowing how to work with them. I remember being asked if I knew anything about the IB curriculum. And I said, no, I didn't. But the way I answered the question was that I'd worked with the IPC, I'd worked with the national curriculum for England and Wales, I'd worked a little bit with the K-12 curriculum. So I was able to prove to them that because I'd done all the different curricula across the world, I was adaptable to learning a new way of teaching, a new method of teaching. And so they were so impressed, and they asked me to come in and work. They sent me my offer letter. I enjoyed it. It was a very lucrative amount. I had calculated that I was going to be a millionaire overnight, because that money was something that I just felt, wow, yes. But then they sent me so many documents for me to fill and to submit on my own, which was not my experience. You see, all the other schools where I'd worked, when they asked me for my qualifications and all the documents, I usually sent it off to the school, and the school will take it up from there. But with this school, you see, they needed me to show my independence. You see, Norwegians are big on independence. They believe that everybody should be independent, and that's what they teach the children from the kindergarten stage: how to be independent, how to potty train, how to speak clearly, how to articulate your needs, and how to ask for help if you need help on something. Nigerian me, coming from Nigeria, even though I had been to about 6 countries by this point, I just felt like, oh, okay, I've sent all the documents to them, and they will take it from there. But they sent it back to me and just sent me the websites and the web links to places where I would upload my documents to. Because in Norway, the government is very invested in the welfare of the children, the education of the children, and everything to do with making sure that they had citizens that were ready, that were well balanced and well structured by the end of their education. So teachers are vetted. They make sure that they get teachers who are well experienced, well qualified to get into this workforce. So there's something called the NOKUT, where you have to submit your qualifications to. It's equivalent to the UK NARIC. So when they sent the web link to me, I was very happy to fill out everything and send it back. Now, I uploaded all my documents, but it got to a point where I had to upload my transcripts. Now, because I had not been in my home country for about 14 years at this point, I didn't know what to do. Many of my relatives are no longer in Nigeria, and at that point in time, they were not there for me to ask to help. So I started running around like a chicken looking for how to get my transcript and everything sent to Nokut. Now, you cannot collect it and send it to Nokut. It has to be from the university, from the institution where you graduated from. So take note, if you're going to Norway, make sure that you start this point early, because this was the biggest hurdle in my journey to Norway. I sent my documents off I sent a request to my university. It took my university, Brusalu University, 3 months to get back to me. Now, normally when you send your documents to Nokut, the whole process takes 2 months. From the minute you fill out the forms and send all your documents in to the moment when you get it back, it's meant to take 2 months. But if there's any problems along the way, it just pushes it back, and then everything just starts to cascade from there. So it took my university 3 months to get back to me to ask why I needed ask. I mean, I felt it was clear, but hey, that's how they roll. So they had sent back to me to ask me what it was I really wanted. Nokut was sending me messages to ask me why I hadn't uploaded my qualifications, and if there was any problems. I didn't know how to answer them, didn't know how to explain to my university. In the end, I had to travel back to my home country, to my institution, to get everything sorted, because hey, when you want to pass a message, some people just prefer for you to come and stand in front of them to explain it, and that's what happened to me. Now, in the process of all that, the school sent me the IB. They registered me to do the IB course. I spent my whole summer doing my IB course. Now, mind you, remember, I got the job in April. And all of this was now taking place over June. It was around June by this point because of all the delays and everything else in between. Now, I did my IB course. The school paid for it. It was about £1,200. School paid for it. They did everything. They sent me a few houses for me to view, which were not very far from school. And everything was going smoothly on the Norwegian side. It was very, very efficient. But everything was dragging on the Nigerian side. So I couldn't marry the fast pace of the Norwegian side to the slow pace of the Nigerian side. And in the end, I crashed and burned, because come August, when I was supposed to be at school, August the 21st, when I was supposed to resume at my new duty, I hadn't gotten Nokut to approve my qualification. And because of that, we couldn't start the visa process with the Nokut accreditation paper. And the beautiful house which I had found, had to be let go, even though the school had paid holding deposit on it until I got there. Everything just, until I got the email saying, well, we cannot have children in the classroom without a teacher standing there, so we would have to cancel your offer of employment. I was gutted. They didn't ask me to pay back for the IB course that they had sent me on. They didn't ask me to pay for anything else. The CPDs I'd done by that point, school had sent me about 6 or 7 other CPDs for me to do, and my police report and everything. They sent me everything, and I had done everything, even though the transcript was still delayed. So at the end of the day, they sent me this really sad email to say that they would not be carrying on with my employment that year, and that they wished me luck in the future. It was a sad day in my house. Everybody was ready to go to Norway. I talked about Norway so much at that point, but we couldn't go to Norway, and we had to stay at the school where I had already told them that I was leaving. It was funny. They had to find another role for me because they had employed someone else to take my place at the school that I was leaving. So yeah, that year was a very sad one for me. But by October of that same year, I made sure that I was one of the first ones on the on the portal as soon as it opened on test. I applied to the same school, and luckily for me, my transcript had already arrived by this time. The head of school remembered me. He smiled when I appeared in front of him for the interview and said, "Am I ready this time?" And I showed him all the documents. Because of that, I was able to get the job. They'd already interviewed me before. Now they were interviewing me again to find out if I was still up to the task and if my head was in that place. And I showed them that yes, this is where I want to go. And it was beautiful. They didn't have to pay for my IB course anymore because I'd already done the IB course. Thankfully, I'd finished it. So yes, it was fantastic. If you're going to Norway, make sure one of the first things you do, send that no-cuts thing off as fast as you can. It takes 2 months and they will not move forward until they're sure that they're employing someone whose academic qualification is rigorous enough to fit their system. Secondly, if you really want to work in Norway, it's better for you to get into international schools because international schools do not have the language requirements that the government schools or the public schools have. It will take you roughly 2-3 months for you to finish the whole process. From the minute you get your offer letter to the minute that you are then giving your visa for you to travel. So if you are in Norway, what are you waiting for? If you're there doing your master's, you're already picking up the language. Go to schools, go volunteer, go be a teaching assistant because teaching assistants do not need huge qualifications to be there. Teachers just need to have bachelor's degree to teach in Norway. There's no QTS, yes, you go through no-cuts, but your no-cuts will evaluate your qualifications and they will evaluate your past experience. Even if you've been a healthcare worker, even if you've been anything you've been before, factory worker, healthcare worker, whatever you've done before, even my babysitting hours were calculated as part of my experience. So yeah, go be in schools, go to schools, go see what you can get in schools because you'll be blown away. You'll be respected. Norway is a country where teachers are respected. Norway is a place where teachers are paid a good wage. Norway is a country where you're not overworked as a teacher because of the ratios, because they believe that children need to be supported properly. And if you want children supported properly, then you need to support the teacher properly. So go be a teacher in a country where education is the best in the world and you will not regret it. And if you're outside of Norway, I'm going to be leaving links below this video to the links I use to get jobs. Tess is one of them, and there's a few others that you can jump on. There are 7 in-demand jobs in Norway, and teaching is one of them. There's engineering, there's the law, there's the typical IT. But for teaching to sit among the well-paid jobs, the most in-demand, well-paying jobs in Norway, you know that's a gold mine, and you need to take advantage of that. Go to Norway and let's do this together, this international school teaching. Remember, apply to international schools because then you don't have the language restrictions. If you go to public schools, then you need to have the Norwegian, you need to go to Norskurs. And if you don't want to do that, then just apply to international schools. And international kindergartens are one of them. And I will leave all the links below and you will be blown away by how much you're needed in Norway, especially if you're from an English-speaking country. You don't have to be a native English speaker. You just have to speak English clearly and fluently and you will be fine. Thank you for coming to this point in this video. If you want to hear a lot more about my stories of different places I've been to around the world, please like and subscribe and remember to share so that this can reach a lot more people who are looking to teach abroad just like me. Thank you so much and have a good week ahead. Bye.